Okay, so again, to make a long story short, the shoe messed up my shot. Now, just to recap again, just so people understand a little bit. When I had the shoot weight machine, what it did was I was picking the ball off the rack. The rack's right here. So I was picking the ball off the rack right here. And I'm not going to get into details, but the main thing is, it's how I'm stepping into it and moving into it. I'm not going to get into details about how good shooters move into shots and stuff and all that. But because I'm picking the ball off the rack like this, I step like this, it's making me shoot. Or I wouldn't even step at all, and I would just pick the ball off the rack and kind of do this and then shoot. And making me shoot my left foot in front of my right. And that's what my dad hated. My dad was like, why are you shooting with left foot in front of my right? He's like, he thinks there's something wrong with me. No, it's because of the way the reason why I shot sideways is how I moved into it. I'm not going to go into details. But when I would just get passes from it, I automatically would step like this with my left foot to the side, my right foot forward toward the rim, make me quote unquote sideways, right? Like this. But when I'm picking the ball off the rack, I'm going like this. And it's making my left foot go straight forward and my right foot straight forward. And so I'm shooting square, my dad would say. And my dad was like, okay, well, pick the ball off the rack and then go like this. And put your right foot pointed this way and your left foot forward and shoot. And like I said, my friend Nick Turley, he was left-handed and he had a shoot weight machine. And he ended up not being a good shooter either. And I know a bunch of people had shoot weight machines and they all ended up bad shooters. But he would kind of shoot like that. He'd kind of go like this. So I was like, yeah, do that. Do it like Nick. If it wasn't for the shoot weight machine, there would have been no problem at all because I was just automatic. I was the best. And I never thought. That was the reason I was so good. But the only reason why things got messed up is because I'm picking the ball. It made me shoot wrong. And I didn't know that I was shooting wrong. My dad was the one who was telling me because, again, I didn't think. So then I'm in the backyard and I pick the ball off the rack and I'm going like running straight forward and going like this over and over again. So when I'm in the games, I'm getting passes and I'll catch the pass and I'll go straight forward and do this. No good shooter does that. And anyways, so when I fixed my shot a little bit, around like 2014, I fixed it a little bit, but I was still shooting wrong. And I think that's the reason why my grandpa was like, it wasn't the shoot away that messed up your shot. Because he saw that I was still shooting. You know, like I said, my family hasn't seen me since high school. But my grandpa, you know, he saw me shoot a few times. And I was still shooting bad. But, you know, so he's probably thinking like, you think you fixed your shot or whatever. He was like, it wasn't the shoot away that messed up your shot. It was just, you're playing against bigger, better players. Because he never knew how good of a player I was. He didn't know. And I'll get into this later. Because later, like, I'll mention this, like, I ended up posting videos online. And around like 2017, my grandpa was watching the videos and my grandpa was like, you were a starting point guard on varsity as a freshman? And I was like, yes. He was like, and Ronaldo Woolridge didn't even play varsity? And I was like, yes. He was like, what? That doesn't make any sense because he never knew how good I was. And a lot of people wouldn't know how good I was. And people wouldn't know that there was a shoot away machine that destroyed me. So, and it wasn't just a shoot away machine. It was the shoot away machine combined with my dad then trying to fix it the wrong way. And then my dad tried to fix other things the wrong way, and it just, everything deteriorated to chaos. But, so my point is, though, so when I kind of started to fix my shot around like 2014, I'm not going to go into details, because if I go into details, I'll make good shooters think. I'm not going to do that, but I'll go into very just subtle, surface level stuff. But I did notice that the way that I was shooting, you know, I did notice... I'm not going to go into details because I can't make good shooters think. I don't want to do that. I don't want to destroy people. But, so I was still shooting like this. But instead of like, like I said, when I was shooting with the shooting machine, I noticed it messed up my shot because I was looking at the videos and I saw specifically me shooting in a video, picking the ball off the rack and going like this and then shooting. And I saw myself in the game, around the 9th grade, catching the ball. And instead of just, a good shooter, I'm not going to go into details, but a good shooter, he'll catch the ball. And he'll take, and he'll just be natural, like just whatever. He'll catch it right here. He'll step, left foot pointed out like this. He'll catch it, it's just natural. And it's stuff that I did automatically. But when I got the shooting machine, I'd catch the ball in the game and I would shoot like I was picking the ball off the rack. I would catch it and I'd go like pop and I'd shoot with my left foot in front of my right. Or I just catch it like I'm picking the ball off the rack. I could catch it like this and I just go through like I'm picking the ball off the rack. It messed up how I shot. And the reason I was such a good shooter, and I think people know this, like my dad would know this, it was all about my form. It's all, I'm not gonna go into details, but I can go into really deep stuff that I found out later around 2019. But my point is, with the shoot-away machine, everything that a good shooter does, you can't do. And I was the best of the best. I was better than any good shooter you know. I'm better than him. I was better than Steph Curry. I was better than all of them. And I will say that, and I will put, and if you can get videos of me, you will see. And I know I was better than all of them. And people will say I was better than all of them. Anybody who actually knew me would say it. So, and I was playing with the best players in the country. Yes, I was. So, my point is to shoot away messed up my shot, but I didn't know how to fix it because the reason I was so good was because I was so unconscious. That's why all those players weren't better than me, because they were never as unconscious as I was. That's why I was so exceptional. And if the shoot away didn't mess up my shot, I would have a lot of videos of me how unconscious I was. I was special, dude. I was so special. But whatever. Everything fell apart. Things went to chaos. I lost the swag flow. I lost everything. But I discovered the theory of everything, so I'm doing good. But people might not believe that. But whatever. I did, and everything's going to be okay. So, okay. So basically, yeah, so that's what happened to my shot. But then, so I wanted to talk to my mom and dad and tell them about that. But my grandpa in high school, after all the abuse happened with my dad, he was like, you know, if you're in the flow, you're in the eternal moment, so never bring up the past. Because he didn't want me to bring up the past about how I was abused and stuff. She's like, never bring up the past. If you're in the flow, you're in the eternal moment, never bring up the past. So I was like, okay, I'll never bring up the past. And I was cool with that. And I never brought up the past. But I only started to bring up the past when I tried to tell my mom, like, hey, Mom, I discovered the theory of everything. And my mom's like, hey, you have schizophrenia. Because I showed her in my sophomore year of college. And then my mom and dad abandoned me. And then I lost about 30 DVDs. A lot of chaos happened. But then when I'm trying to, after college, when I was trying to get back in touch with my mom and dad, and I'm like, hey, I need some help, guys. My mom's like, your dad's not isn't gonna talk to you, because I never actually. People might think again. People are gonna think I'm interacting with my mom, and my mom has a reasonable suspicion that I had schizophrenia because she's interacting with me. No, I'm talking to her on the phone, so I'm talking to her because you won't see me. And I'm telling her, Mom, I don't have schizophrenia. Can I talk to Dad? Your dad never gonna talk to you. Don't you remember how you treated him in high school? And I'm like, okay, Mom, but I figured out what happened. It was a shoot-away machine. I tried to explain to her, no, talk about the past. Oh my God, you still care about basketball? You're 23 years old. What are you, a little kid? Or what are you, a little kid, you little bitch? Are you fucking 2-year-old? You care about basketball? Get a fucking life. You haven't done anything since middle school, you loser. Get a fucking life. So again, and I'm trying to explain to her, like, listen, Mom, this is what I'm talking about. I want you to change your attitude toward me, because that attitude is not justified. It's not deserved. I discovered theory of everything. You have schizophrenia. Anyways, it's just crazy. But, and this is really what happened, but it actually happened worse. The way that I'm describing it, I actually probably make my mom sound nice. The way she really was actually way more evil. Way more evil. So, but basically, I'm trying to, get in touch with my dad, but my mom's saying, like, no. So then I had to bring up the shoot-away machine. And then my mom's like, don't talk about the past. Because my grandpa came up with that rule. Because if you're in the flow, you're in the eternal moment. Jesus, when he put it down his plow, he didn't look back. He just kept going. He's in the eternal moment. I'm like, because he had the new age. He's all new age, like spiritual, but also like rational, postmodern. That's like modernism. It's like, I don't know. It's very hard to describe what my grandpa's, but my grandpa would say he didn't believe anything because he's just open to inspiration. And he'd say that any belief is just shit because it's just memorized content. And then it keeps you from the truth, which is inspiration, which is the transcendence, comes through the transcendence of the ego, which I understand now. At that time, I didn't understand. When my grandpa talked about this hippie stuff, I thought it was hippie stuff. I was like, what is this, race mixing stuff? Like, I thought that he was all like a hippie race mixer, like everything is one, and I'm like, okay. And it influenced me to be more like that. But then I started to realize that he's not, because I also was like, but also your teachings are like right wing. He just confused me, but I was like, what are you talking about? But finally, I think I understand what he's talking about now. It took me a long time. It took me till like 2021 probably to kind of get an inkling of what he was talking about. But now I think I have a good grasp of it. But, and I think I have more, you know, at the time, I always thought that my grandpa was like very wise, and I was like, I was trying to understand what he's teaching. But but now I think that, you know, I understand what he's teaching. But as I said, my grandpa stopped teaching me because I tried to explain to my grandpa about the shoot away. He's like, it wasn't the shoot away machine. And again, at that time, like 2014, 2015, 2016, all the way up to 2019, I was still shooting wrong. I was still, because my dad told me, my dad was like, put your left foot pointed forward and put your right foot like this. So I was still shooting like this. But I wasn't doing what I was doing. I knew the shoot away messed up my shot, so I wasn't like picking the ball off the rack and doing this like I did when I was practicing off the shoot away machine. And I knew that the shoot away messed up my shot. But I was still catching it. I was moving into the shots more naturally. I was being more natural, but I would still catch it and go like this. Because that's what my dad told me to do. Now, like I said, a good shooter shoots with his left foot pointed out. The best shooters shoot with the left foot pointed out, right foot pointed toward the basket. And it's just natural. It's just easy. You know, they catch it. I'm not going to go into details because I don't make good shooters think. But if I went into details, you would believe me and you would be in shock about how much I know. But if I had more basketball videos, I could study even more and you'd be even more shocked. But I hopefully can get more basketball videos. But you just catch it. It's just natural. Left foot pointed out, right foot toward the basket. But my dad was like, do this. So I'm like, ugh. So even at this time, like 2017, I was still catching the ball and going like this. So it took a long time for me to figure that out. And I had videos, but I didn't like I said, at the time, I didn't know that I could fix my shot. Like, I thought the shoot away just messed up my shot for good. Because I thought because I was studying the videos and I was trying to duplicate kind of what I saw in the videos, but I was doing it wrong. Now I know. It took me to 2019 to figure it out. But I didn't really have faith that I could really fix it. One thing is, I think it was because like my dad, I thought just because I was shooting overhead and I thought it was different. And like, I didn't really think that I could fix it. And I was like, I was just listening to my dad. My dad told me to shoot like that. So I kept shooting like that. And like, I was looking at the videos and I was trying to study swag flow. I was trying to study stuff, but I didn't really study them in depth to really fix my shot. I didn't notice. It took me a while to figure out, okay, my left foot was pointed this way. My right foot was pointed toward the basket. And it took me to playing with Compton College and the Compton College coach telling me that. And I was studying the stuff and it took a long time for me to figure it out, but my shot was still messed up for a long time. But it was better than it was in high school when everything was completely chaotic. But like I said, the reason I was so good was because I was so unconscious. So that's the reason why in high school things got so bad, was because I was so unconscious when my shot got messed up because of the shoot away machine. It wasn't me. Because of the shoot away machine, I had no idea what to do. And I didn't even know my shot was bad. My dad was the one who was telling me because I didn't even know what was going on. I was just knew that there's something wrong. My dad's saying my shot's wrong. And I had no idea how to fix it. And he's trying to fix it. And he told me to do the wrong thing. Now I know. So, but as I said, you know, my grandpa stopped teaching me because my grandpa I was basically like, dude, he's like doing his whole, like, you need to, you know, what you really want is independence. And, you know, if you're really in the flow, you're not attached to anything, including your family. And I'm like, dude, you're the one who's really alienated me. You know, you're the one who's really, you haven't helped me at all. You made things worse for me. You made me more alienated and you encouraged my family to disown me. And my grandpa's like, I don't want to teach you anymore. So he made it even worse. He's like, okay, well, you know, you're mad at me for influencing your family to disown you. Okay, well, I disown you too. And then I'm even more alienated. And I'm like, you're just trying to do what my dad did. And you're trying to say it was because of me. Because that's what my dad's whole thing is, you know, they're trying to make me the bad guy. Oh, well, we have justification for not talking to him or not seeing him. No, they don't. It's not right. And my grandpa, when he did it, it wasn't right either. But my grandpa didn't understand. You know, my grandpa was stupid. He was stupid, dude. So, and he didn't believe the quadrant model. He's like, you know, the quadrant model is bullshit. The only reason why you made up the quadrant model, because he thought I made it up. He thought I invented it. He didn't think it was true. He said, it's because, you know, because you want to stay dependent on your parents. And this is an ego strategy. You know, you're trying to make things happen. You're not in the. This is an ego strategy to try to stay dependent on your parents, and so you know, but you don't really believe the quadrant model. I'm like, yes, actually, well, I actually do believe the quadrant model, and I do think it's true, and I have a lot of evidence. He's like, well, no, if you're in the flow, you wouldn't believe it, because if you're in the flow, you're just an inspiration, and you're not attached to any belief. But I'm like, dude, you say you believe in energy. You say you believe in all types of stuff. You say that God is energy. Isn't that a belief? And he's like, no, it's not a belief. It's just my current framework of understanding. But I'm not attached to that belief. But I'm like, it seems like a belief to me. You know? Because I'd be like, I think the theory of everything is a quadrant model. He'd be like, well, I think the theory of everything is energy. I'm like, dude, that's not significant to say everything is energy. That's been said for eons. The quadrant model is significant. To say everything's energy is just like, what does that even mean? He's like, exactly. God is apathetic. Energy is apathetic. You can't say anything about it. I understand what he's trying to say. He's trying to be like, if you're in the flow, I understand it. But what I'm saying is, he didn't know, he couldn't be open to the truth of the quadrant model. And he didn't help. He made things worse for me, okay? He made things pretty bad. And he didn't believe about the shoot-away machine. He's like, it wasn't the shoot-away machine. So things got worse with that. And then, like I said, in order to get my grandpa to start teaching me again, I had to write a based on true story book. So in my based on true story book, I'm trying to do my grandpa's teachings. Like, I'm trying to make myself into the bad guy. I'm like, it's all my fault. But it's not my fault because I don't exist. According to my grandpa, you don't exist. It's only software. Everything is energy, so you don't exist. You're not a separate person. So I'm like, the reason why the bad stuff probably happened was because I was stuck in superior, inferior software, and I tried to make things happen, and I tried to get my basketball videos maybe because I wanted to be superior, and that's superior, inferior software instead of being just trying to excel and just going all out and just losing myself. I was still stuck in the self, and I tried to manipulate things, and I allowed my ego to take over. And the fact of the matter was, like I said, I wanted to get basketball videos when I was younger, and that led to a lot of problems right after college. I tried to get the basketball videos, but I tried to scare people into getting me the videos. But the problem was, I wanted my mom and dad to help me, but my mom and dad wouldn't talk to me. They wouldn't help me. And my mom's like, you have schizophrenia, you're a loser. So I tried to manipulate, I tried to scare people, and that's when I started to go online and I tried to put out all my quadrant model stuff. But at the time, I was still kind of a communist because my grandpa was a right-winger, I thought, and I went against him because my grandpa was like, you're a parasite, and the Jews are parasites in Germany, and he was my grandpa. So my point is, if my mom and dad didn't disown me and throw me to Kauai to live with my grandpa, who was being an asshole, and all this stuff, all the crazy stuff wouldn't have happened. If they would have just been nice and been like, hey, yeah, okay, Ryan, we'll help you get basketball videos when you're younger, because I had the most swag flow out of anybody. I was exceptional. If I could have studied the basketball videos, I could have fixed my shot sooner. I could have studied the swag flow, and even to this day, I want to study the swag flow. I could have studied a bunch of stuff. I could have studied my moves. Things could have been amazing. But also, I do think that one of the good things that happened was I was always kind of a communist. And all the suffering that I went through, I think it kind of took me out of that a little more to understand my grandpa's teachings that are more nuanced. And I was always kind of anti-religious communist, anti-white. So that's the only good thing that happened out of it. But my point though is too, if I didn't go through all that shit, maybe my grandpa could have discerned that quicker. And he could have my grandpa didn't do a good job. He just confused me more. He made me even more into a communist because he's confused me like everything's one. Transcend dualistic consciousness. I'm like, okay, so race mixing? And I'm like, so he just confused me. And my point is, he confused me. My mom and dad disowned me. I wanted to get my basketball videos. I did try to make things happen. But my point is, if my mom and dad didn't disown me and my mom wasn't calling me a schizophrenic loser and all this stuff, and I wasn't stuck on Kauai, and if I just had some support and love, maybe they could have helped me get my basketball videos. Maybe all the crazy stuff wouldn't have happened. And I do think a lot of crazy stuff happened because I was disowned, and my grandpa was trying to force me to be independent, and really just made me alienated. But that's the ironic thing is my grandpa thinks like, well, Ryan, it was all because you were trying to make things happen. And he's all about blaming me, blaming the victim. That's what I always thought. And it's like, no, you're the one who made me alienated, trying to make me independent. Right? All Ryan really wants is independendence. That's what started the problem from the beginning. When my grandpa came in from Kauai in high school with the shooter, he's like, what Ryan really wants is independence. And my family's like, okay, make him independent. Kick him out of the house. Disown him. We want nothing to do with them. You can't make things happen, Ryan. You want to be back with the family. You can't make things happen. You can't force things. And then the same thing happened after. My grandpa's like, well, Ryan really wants his independence. That's not it. But my grandpa, it's just like, he really fucked me up. He made me so crazy. He really it was abusive. He's trying to help with his spirituality stuff, but it was the most abusive stuff. It drove me insane. It really drove me insane. So, he's trying to be like, yeah, but then I wrote my book, my Based on True Story book, and I tried to do it to make him happy so he could start teaching me again because I wanted to learn. Because I knew that he had good teachings, and I wanted to understand what he was teaching. And I knew that, he might be, saying stupid stuff. He might not understand stuff. He might not understand the quadrant model, but I knew that he had some profound ideas. So I wanted to learn more, but he stopped teaching me because he was trying to like follow my dad's path. He's like, oh, it's not you, it's your software. So I had to like write this book, and I'm like, yes, it was my software. It was my superior, inferior software, and I tried to make things happen. When really, I do think that the biggest problem was my family abandoning me. I don't think all the crazy stuff, I do admit I did try to make things happen. But when all that stuff started happening was my mom and dad abandoned me and going through all that stuff. So anyways, but I wrote this book, and my grandpa read it. He's like, this is really good. You're really upgrading your software. You're really taking responsibility for your software. So he started teaching me again. This is like 2016, I don't know. But the same thing would recur over and over from then on. And my grandpa wouldn't teach me for a year at a time, or 2 years, or a few months, and it would just keep on going like that because we would get in an argument about my family and stuff, and then he'd stop there. I'm not interested in teaching you anymore. I just want to meditate. I'm not interested anymore. I don't want to expose myself to that software. So, and I've always felt like he was trying to like take my dad's side. Like, your dad doesn't talk to you, and I'm not going to do it either. And yes, it wasn't the shoot away. It was you, Ryan. He tried to blame the victim. He's always trying to blame. It was a shoot away machine. If it wasn't for the shoot away machine, none of this stuff would have happened. And it's a tragedy. And like I said, I would call. My mom would never talk to me, but if I did get a hold of my mom, I'd tell her, Mom, can you and Dad just start talking to me, and can you stop alienating me? And it might help my grandpa to start teaching me again and studying with me, and just can we just stop with all this throwing me to the side and treating me like shit? And my mom's like, you can't make things happen. Your grandpa doesn't want to talk to you. Neither does your dad. You have to accept it. You can't force things. You can't make things happen. You can't always get your way. But again, that's stemming from the high school, from the shoot away machine, when my shot got messed up and I wanted help from my mom and dad. And my mom was like, you can't make things happen. You can't force things. Because my grandpa comes and he's like, Ryan, the universe is energy. And everything is one. And it's all moving towards synergy. And you can't make things happen. So, your dad might be making a bad call by refusing to shoot, because like I said, I went to my mom and dad made me go to a psychologist, and I was like, can my dad shoot with me? Can we make a rule? Like, because it was so capricious. I'm like, sometimes he'd shoot with me, sometimes he wouldn't. He'd beat me up one day, not the other day. It's like, it was chaos. I was in this, it's terrible. But I was like, can we just like make a rule? Like once a week for 15 minutes, my dad shoots with me. That's all I needed, because it was just damage control. My shot was already terrible at the time. I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't even know it was terrible. I just needed him to look at it, tell me if it's looking bad, and to fix it so I just didn't look like a freak when I'm shooting. So my shot just wasn't bizarre. That's all I needed, But my dad was like, I'm not going to do that. My grandpa's like, well, you have to accept bad calls, Ryan. Even if it's a bad call, you have to accept it. Everything is fine. The universe is all energy. It's all fine. You can't make things happen. You can't force things. Be in the flow. So he didn't help me, made things worse. And then my mom and dad are like, yeah, you can't make things happen, Ryan. Now go live with your friend. Go live with your grandpa and stay out of our lives. I'm like, Mom, can I please come home? No, I fucking hate you, but so that's basically. And then so at this point, my shot was still messed up. This was like 2016, 2017. And my grandpa would go off and on with teaching me and studying with me. I learned stuff from him, it's true. But at the same time, I felt like he didn't help me. So